Hi guys, what's going on? This is Ian Su Realtor YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about how to buy your home. So you never bought any real estate, or you bought some real estate and now you want to improve your knowledge because the law is changed from beginning of next year around March time, but people will begin to follow this new rule that you can no longer double end with one single agent. So one agent cannot represent both people. So a lot of time you're going to have to represent yourself, or you just have enough experience and you want to get even better. You want to become the best. So you want to look at this video and learn everything about how to buy your home. Okay, so whenever you are buying a home, you can either buy on your own or use a realtor. Now, the advantage of buying a home by yourself is that you know your own time, you know your own schedule. And sometimes you look around some property, and if you don't like it, there's no pressure. So that's the advantage. And when you are using a realtor, sometimes the schedule is different, and if you end up not buying, you feel kind of you are using other people's time. So you kind of avoid want to use it. So depending on the situation, sometimes you may not want to have a realtor. But then there's advantage of using a realtor because realtor has more access to information, and realtor has more experience in dealing with the whole buying situation and can give you more tips and advice along the way. Because in the decision-making process, you could be making a small error and mistake and could cost you a couple of $1,000 or tens of thousands of dollars. So normally you want to use a realtor. But in special circumstances where you are very experienced and somehow you are able to access the history price, you are able to access the statistic of the real estate, because usually only realtor have access to those information. With yourself, you have very limited access of MLS.ca, and the information you get is very limited, and chances are you could make a costly mistake. And in the end, when you buy a home with a realtor, you don't have to pay the commission. The commission is coming from the seller. So if you use a realtor to look around and then you don't buy, really it doesn't cost you nothing. But morally, you do feel a little bit obligated. That is kind of true. But for a realtor, they understand it's part of their risk. If they bring a buyer, look around, and they don't buy, that's the cost of their business. They gotta be able to take on those risks. So you can represent yourself. You can buy on your own, absolutely no problem. Look in open house through MLS.ca, IEW.ca, or you can use a realtor who can schedule all the appointment for you and give you more detailed information, and they have more experience dealing with all kinds of problems that could occur in the process of buying a home. So next is the steps. The first one is shopping. So once you decide to look for a home, you will be going around shopping. You will be looking at different property every Saturday, every Sunday, and if you are getting serious, even on the weekdays, after you finish your work, you will still be looking and sometimes you have to look at second time, sometimes you have to look at third time, like once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the Sunday, just to get a feel of the surrounding. And finally, you saw one or two that you really like, or maybe three, then you begin to make an offer. So with the offer, you have to sit down with a realtor, writing down which date you want to move in, which date you want to pay the deposit, and what are the conditions. Like, are you going to do finance? Are you going to do an inspection? Are you going to check all the documents? Those are the basic subjects. And it's very important you have this subject, because just in case you change your mind, these subjects are there to protect you. Just in case the inspector finds something horrible about the property that could cost you $10,000-$20,000 out of your own pocket, you can back out the deal. And just in case there's some funny strata law, you cannot have your dog, you cannot have your cat, the dog cannot poop at certain place, you'll get certain fine. Just in case, you always want to have your subjects, and these are there to protect you. You must have it. Now, in some rare situation, when you are multiple offer, like a bidding war, when you are competing in a bidding war, that's the time when you don't want to use subject. So a bidding war is when there are many buyers trying to get a deal and everybody is fighting. And in a bidding war, you don't want to put subject, because those without subject will win a bidding war. As simple as that. Now, when you don't put subject on the bidding war, it's a little bit dangerous, because sometimes there are problems of the property that you cannot see without properly inspect with a professional inspector. Or there could be some problem with the strata they don't want you to investigate and find out, and that's why they make this bidding war happen. So whenever you see a bidding war, you want to be very cautious, because if you don't put in subject, if you put in subject, you're not going to win. If you put no subject, you could win, but potentially there could be other problems ahead. And once you realize the problem, it's too late. You already put down your deposit. When you do no subject, it has to come with a deposit. Anyhow, I don't recommend getting into bidding war unless it's totally necessary. Otherwise, you want to have all the subject to protect you. And finally, once you got the acceptance of a contract, you kind of have a deal. So you want to bring this deal, this stack of paper, to your bank and say, hey, Bank A, Bank B, Bank C, I got this deal. I need finance. Give me the approval fast. Normally, a bank would take about 3 to 4 business days to approve the loan. And during those time, you want to arrange a home inspector to inspect the property. It's very important you spend that $200 to $500 of investment to check on something, a home you are going to buy, just in case the inspector could find out some problem, because after all, it's quite a big investment. If your future home is costing you several $100,000, sometimes millions of dollars, and spending $200 to inspect, it makes sense. You want to inspect and check everything. You don't want to miss out anything. And finally, read through all the documents. Once again, you are buying $1 million home, a $500,000 home. You want to make sure you understand the rules of the strata, the townhouse, the condo. It's not your realtor going to live there. It's not your realtor going to follow the law of living the strata. It's yourself. So you must read all the strata rules and find out if you're happy and are you gonna be okay with all the strata laws, regulation, and the meetings and the people and everything. So make sure you read all the documents. Now with a bank, I really recommend deal with 3 banks at the same time. You don't want to rely on one bank and after 3 days they're telling you, oh sorry, we cannot approve you. But the fact is the bank's problem. Certain banks have some limitation in lending to certain people, to certain situation. They may be on a blacklist by the government, so they have very lots of trouble. They have to follow. They cannot lend money. So always use at least 3 banks or different mortgage broker just in case. And also you can use their rate to shopping against them. You tell them bank B giving 1.6, bank A giving 1.5, give me 1.4, I'll sign with you, blah blah blah. It's your advantage to have more bank working for you. You don't want to get stuck with one bank, get stuck with one rate, and they put their hidden charge in there. So you want to make sure you talk to at least 3 banks. Any inspection, I said earlier, is very important. You must do it even for a 1-bedroom condo, even for a small place. The only thing you can kind of don't want to inspect it is a brand new. If it's a brand new home, brand new condo, brand new townhouse with warranty, then it doesn't make sense to do an inspection because, hey, it's brand new. And once you got everything through, 7 days later, you are happy with all the subject, mortgage, inspection, you check all the document. The final step before you go to the notary is to pay the deposit. So you need to pay the deposit. At the same time pay the deposit, you remove all the subject. So at this point of time, you got the property. Otherwise, without this being done, all of this is just talking. And you can back out the deal without paying a penny. Now, once your deposit is paid, once you remove the subject, that property is yours. And usually 1 month later, 2 months later, you own the place. If that place is empty, normally you can complete moving in 1 month. If the owner need to move out, find a new place, usually it's around 2 months. Now in some rare situation, you can go into 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but don't really recommend because it's dangerous with deposit holding there. Things could get changed, the house could get burned down, the seller could suddenly have a heart attack, and it's better don't let it wait too long. And finally, once you own the property a month ahead, then you have to find a notary or lawyers to complete the deal for you. Usually, if it's a condo, if it's a townhouse, if it's a easy house, easy deal, no complication, you want to deal with notary because they charge less money than lawyers. Now, the only disadvantage with lawyer is when you get into problem with the law. maybe with things like right of way, with things like the borderline with neighbors, some kind of complication that in a scenario you need to go to the court or you need to get advice from lawyers, then you would need a lawyer instead of notary. But at 99.9% of time, that don't usually happen. But if you know you have a complicated deal, find a lawyer to do the completion and possession. Otherwise, stay with a notary. They are as experienced as notary, it's just they don't go to the court. So this is how to buy your home and the entire process of getting your home, from shopping all the way to notary and lawyers. And when all this is all set, you can begin your packaging.